Week 1 is in the books, and let me say it was a hell of a week of football. A bunch of upsets, real good games in there, and it's just a good. It's the first week of football is finally in the books. So I guess the best way to do it is to just get right into some of these games. Let's just get right into it. First game we got covered is New Orleans at Atlanta. And took everything New Orleans had to pull it out. Jameis Winston, phenomenal game from him. 269 yards, 2 touchdowns. The rushing wasn't there, but to see Winston getting off to a hot start again. Jarvis Landry having 100 yards was good, and Marcus Mariota didn't throw for any touchdowns for Atlanta, but to see him protect the ball, not throw any interceptions, and throw for 215 yards. I mean, patience this year to see him start the year off like that it's good to see. If you're Atlanta, you're not as your outlook is not as dark as you initially had. Patterson had a good game, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. It was a good game, back and forth. The Saints do win it, but it was close, 27-26, and there's not much more. If you're Atlanta, I get it. Week 1, week 1's the biggest liar you'll ever see. But if you're an Atlanta fan, you got to be happy with what you saw week 1. We have our first upset that we're going to be mentioning here with San Fran and Chicago. If you saw my video about the season predictor, you would know that I hate Chicago. I hate the way the team's built, and I don't like anything about the team right now. But I got to give the devil their due. They played good enough in drowning in the Soldier Field that was literally just a pool at that point. If I find the clip I'm looking for of the guy, I don't know what player it was, but of the player walking through and he was just stepping in puddles and puddles of water. It just feels completely soaked. Not a great thing for some quarterbacks, but Lance not throwing for any touchdowns. And again, I'm not going to be super critical of this game, most because it was poor. The field was in disarray. The game was in torrential downpour. I'm not going to be super hypercritical of Trey Lance in this game. He threw for 164 yards and 1 touchdown. That's good for a game that was with that kind of inclement climate. Debo could have had a nicer game. He had 52 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Shout at him. And he only had 14 yards receiving. And again, not going to be hypercritical on the passing, but Justin Fields, this is going to hurt to say because I don't like the kid, but he had a good game. 121 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. He did what he had to do to win, and you gotta give him that. Whether you like to do it or not. The score was 19-10. It was not high scoring at all. The real winner was the rain. Let's just be honest. The rain completely controlled how that game was played. Next, I am a resident Pittsburgh, but I am not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I don't like the Steelers very much at all. I was really interested in the Steelers this week going against defending AFC champs with a new quarterback and an offense that I had a lot of questions about personally. But to see Mitch come in, 194 yards, 1 touchdown, in my opinion, that's a good game. That's a real good game. Receiving, no one had 100 receiving yards. Freiermuth had the most yards receiving with 75, and that was for the Steelers, the offense wasn't there all there yet, or it's not all there right now. I'm curious for next week how the offense is going to run with the injury to Najee Harris, but I think they said he'll be good. I heard reports that he might be good for New England, and I kind of hope he is because that kid's fun to watch. But dude's real fun to watch. He's going to be a big piece of this offense this year, and they need him, especially with the other injury that happened that we're going to get to here in a second. But the real story of the Steelers' victory in Cincinnati was the defense. That defense, they got 4 interceptions. What else? 4 interceptions usually spells a victory for most teams. And to see this defense held the Bengals in check, and that's a really good sign. That's a great sign for your Steelers fan, because you got this. Because your offense might not be 100% there, but if this defense is going to play as dominant as that all year, you'll be a good team. You'll be a real good team. But, losing a player like TJ Watt for a while, he will either be gone for the whole season or he's going to be gone for, I think they said 6 weeks, something like that. I think it's 6 to 8 weeks with the torn pec if he doesn't need surgery. And to lose T.J. Watt, the reigning defending defensive player of the year, it's going to be I'm not saying that defense needs him to be successful, but he's a huge factor on that defense. But on the other side, I'm a big, massive Joe Burrow fan. I put all my chips on him last year in fantasy. Before he was my only quarterback I drafted in my fantasy team last year because I had that feeling my boy was coming back. Yards wise, it was a good game for Burrow. Chase had a nice game with 129 yards, fumbles, and the 4 interceptions. You're not gonna beat anybody with that many turnovers, and I hope he irons that out next week. Returns to because here's the thing, right? 338 yards is phenomenal. That's great. 4 interceptions, 1 lost fumble. You're not beating a team with that. They iron out. Bengals will be right back at the top of the AFC again. Next up, 2 teams that I am really, really excited to watch this year. One because of fantasy reasons, and the other one because of they're my team. They're my pick for comeback team of the year. The Eagles and Lions. I really wish I got to watch this game more. First, I want to touch on the Lions. Goff, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception. Thrilled with that sort of production from Goff. Because literally when I say that, my expectations of Goff have gone down more and more every year. And now to see him open the season with those stats are very, very nice. And my boy from last year, DeAndre Swift, 144 yards and a touchdown. What else do I got to say about the guy? But he's an absolute dog. He, in my opinion, is the biggest piece of that offense. And to see that he's already off to a good start makes me happy to see that he's keeping that same production he had last year. And here's the thing: a lot of people have the Eagles winning the whole NFC. For them to be this close and playing this well this early, thrilled through the moon. Now on the other hand, the Eagles. My fantasy quarterback this year, Jalen Hurts, with 243 yards and a rushing touchdown. I mean, could I be any happier with that? That was a good bit. That was a good opener with a lot of eyes on the Eagles. 243 yards and a rushing touchdown is great. I'm happy. All their touchdowns came through running. One from Boobie Sanders, one from Hurts, one from Gainwell, and one from Scott. They got a pick 6 too from James Bradbury, former Panther. I'm excited for the Eagles. I'm excited to as someone from Pittsburgh, we are born to hate Philly, but I am really interested in watching this Eagles team. And before we move on to the next game, A.J. Brown with 155 yards. That's a dog. That's my boy right there. You want to talk about teams that disappointed me week 1? Let's talk about the Colts. Matt Ryan, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 352 yards. Amazing. Great stats, right? Jonathan Taylor, 161 yards and a touchdown. Great. Amazing stats. Pittman, 121 yards and a touchdown. Great. Phenomenal. These are all great stats. Matt Ryan fumbled the ball 4 times, but he only lost it once. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But when we move on to the Texans, we got motherfucking Davis Mills thrown for 240 and 2 touchdowns. And somehow, Davis Mills threw for 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cooks at 82 yards. O.J. Howard, 38. Chris Moore, 31. Burkhead, 30. I could keep going, but it just gets less and less. So, and the game went into overtime. And not only did it go into overtime, they fucking tied. This Colts team, I was incredibly excited to see them play. I was still at work when this game was happening. And I looked, and they were losing big to the Texans. And I was like, what the fuck happened? So then, I see them come back, get in overtime, and then they fucking tie. The Texans have already done better than I expected them to this year. I'll just be real. I expect them to lose every fucking game. Whatever. Go off, Houston. You do this shit, and I'm never ready for it. I don't have much to say about this Dolphins Patriots game with the Dolphins winning 7-20. Let's touch on the Dolphins first with the winning team. 2 people were real fucking quiet this week, aren't they? 270, 1 touchdown. Now I'm not saying that's not the greatest stat line I've ever read. He didn't turn over the ball, and he did what he needed to do to win. Let's just say it how it is. Tua playing real well, and the rushing wasn't. The rushing was abysmal in my opinion. The rushing was god awful. But Tyreek with 94 yards, Jalen Waddle with 69, nice, and giving it to the two big guys that they have, the two massive players they have is great. And I love to see this Dolphins team thriving. Now, on the other hand, how do I put this? I got a best friend who's a Patriots fan, and I got to pick my words carefully here. I'm more terrified for the Patriots than I ever have been in my life. This scares me, and I get it. Week 1, weird shit happens week 1, and it's natural. Week 1, some teams they have bad week 1s, they have good week 1s, and then the rest of the season they're the opposite of what they were week 1. If this is any glimpse into the Patriots' future, Patriots fans are going to be in pain. Mac Jones, 213, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 58 yards, 48 yards rushing from Damian Harris, 25 from Ramondre Stevenson. Great, fine. What scares me though is off of 213 yards passing, they got 7 points. And the fact that the Patriots really did nothing on offense the whole game is what scares me. It's not so much that they didn't. Yeah, it's a 2-possession game. Okay, it's a 2-possession game. No problem. That's no problem. It's a 2-possession game. Your defense kept you in it. But 7 points when you had the ball a lot. You had Mac Jones had a good game, and they just didn't convert on those drives, and that's not a good sign. It's me though. I'm gonna withhold any judgment on any of these teams until probably next week. I'll probably I get it, it's still early in the season, but if the Patriots score a low amount of points next week, I'm just gonna write off that this offense isn't working. Now the other game, I genuinely didn't give a fucking shit about. The Joe Flacco revenge game. Yeah, the Ravens just beat the fucking Jets 24-9. Lamar Jackson, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns. Good. It's a great game. That's an amazing game for him. I don't know what else to say. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a good game from the Ravens. It's what we expect from them. How do I put this kindly? I'm a huge fan of the guy that actually got with Stacy's mom. Joe Flacco had 307 yards. Not great. It's a great game. But like I said, having 9 points, to have 9 points off of that kind of, I get it, the Ravens are a lot better of a team. And the Jets are going to be a team I'm going to withhold judgment on just because I want to see if Zach Wilson coming back does anything for them offensively. But the Jets, I don't have much to say about that game, just because it was such a nothing game to me. It's one of those games it's there, it's cool, it's football on, but I don't know, it's kind of mid. Now, the next game, one of the last games. There's only 3 games left in the 1 o'clock spot, and here we go. Let's touch on the newly named Commanders. Prince Harry had threw for 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. For Ed Sheeran, that's a real good game. I expect a lot worse out of him. Usually those 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Usually it's 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions with him, but it's cool. It's he's off to a good start in his 3rd team in 3 years. Antonio Gibson, I don't know what the fuck they're doing with him. I've heard rumors that they lost faith in him, and then whatever, right? But he's still getting looks. He's still he was involved in the rushing game and receiving game. I know that they wanted to turn him into McCaffrey too, but I guess that didn't work out. To see my boy Curtis Samuel get a touchdown today, though, was very nice. One of the players I wish the Panthers never let go. Yeah, I mean, the Commanders had a good game all around. Yeah, the Leprechaun had a nice game, and I really think that was a big reason as to why they won. And on the other side, Lawrence. Listen, for Trevor Lawrence, I don't expect the Jaguars to be good this year at all. I want Lawrence to go from that historically terrible rookie year to a good second year. And 275 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The completion percentage isn't really what I'm focusing on right now. 1 touchdown, 1 interception with 275 yards is good. That's better than what we would have gotten last year, right? ETN finally getting his first game. and James Robinson continuing to be the undrafted god that he is. Christian Kirk's good, and of course he's good. Yeah, he's good. Christian Kirk's going to be good, right? And he's going to be a good player, but he's not good enough to deserve the contract they gave him. 117 yards in your first game there, though, gorgeous. It's what you want if you're Jacksonville. And again, that's really all I can say about that game because they're both kind of mediocre to bad teams. Let's go to another upset, though. Let's go to the other upset in the 1 o'clock spot, if you want to call it that. The Giants and Titans. Giants winning 21-20. Big time game here. Let's go right to the Giants. Let's start with the Giants because I'll shit on the Titans here in a second. Danny Dimes. Maybe I got this kid wrong. I get it. It's week 1. Maybe we got this kid all wrong. He almost completed all his passes. He missed on 4 passes, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And he fumbles? Of course, it's Daniel Jones. He had 1 fumble. Hey, that's, as a Giants fan, it's kind of a little bit of evidence that maybe you're not psychotic for still believing in this guy. And that's cool. It's cool to see that this kid is still giving it his all, and this is make or break for him this year. And the Giants have a lot to prove this year. Saquon is back. 164 yards, 1 touchdown. For Saquon, that's great. I'm a Panthers fan, and I pray that Christian McCaffrey doesn't get injured, right? Every day. I know Giants fans are with me, but they feel that way about Barkley. If Barkley stays healthy, this team is a lot better than I gave them credit for. I'll say it. How do I want to put this? I'm surprised they played that well week 1. Not going to lie. I'm very surprised. I'm curious of what went wrong with the Titans. And Tannehill, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns. Henry only had 82 yards. Dontrell Hilliard had the 2 receiving touchdowns. Kind of curious, where did it go wrong there, right? I think it was just I honestly think for Tennessee, it's a slow start. And I think for the Giants, it's a hot start. I think next week we'll see everything we'll see the finishing puzzle pieces fall into place. And the last game I have to talk about in the 1 o'clock spot is the game that I am still pissed about as a Panthers fan. The Browns beating my Panthers 26-24. Jacoby Brissett didn't play great. I can't even right now. I can't. The Browns didn't play amazing. The defense for the Panthers did kind of sell, but God, it pisses me off the way the Browns. Brissett 147 yards, 1 touchdown. Kareem Hunt had a nice day receiving and rushing. They got an interception on Baker, and they sacked him a couple times, but that's really it. And they won by the skin of their teeth. But on the other side, my team, the call towards the end there with the roughing the passer call, fuck that, fuck it to high heaven. Birds didn't even whatever, what the fuck ever. McCaffrey, can't believe I'm saying this, had a bad game, and a bad game is 33 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. But yeah, I don't want 10 carries for McCaffrey is a little. It makes me nervous. He has glass bones and paper skin. To see that Baker didn't need to rely on McCaffrey was very nice to see. It was very welcome to see. The fact that Robbie Anderson, of all players, could have been Baker's main dude in week 1 is hilarious. 102 yards and 1 touchdown for Robbie. Anyone who has Robbie Anderson in fantasy, don't expect that ever again. He'll do this 1 week, and now he's done. That's it. That's the rest. That's his whole year. That's it. You missed on it, and that's fine. We all move on. Jokes aside, as a Panthers fan, I'm not mad about this week. The Panthers, I want to see the defense play a lot better from the Panthers aspect, but the offense didn't look terrible. The second half, they came out and looked a lot better. Second half, they actually started scoring points and everything. The Baker Mayfield debut, before we move on to the 4 o'clock, Baker Mayfield had a good game. It was a really good game from him. And I love the fact that he did as well as he did in this game. 235 yards, 1 touchdown, and an interception. Baker Mayfield, I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say it. I want Baker Mayfield to stay in Carolina after this year. I want, and I get it. It's week 1. I shouldn't be saying shit like that already. But honestly, even if he does bad, what are our other options? What are the Panthers' other options? They don't really have any. Unless you want to say Corral, but I don't know if he'll be ready next year. And if Baker plays like this all year, why not? Seriously, why not? And, he looks good in black and blue, dude. He looks good. But this week, for Baker, I want to hear no disrespect to that man. Because he plays with his heart, and he gave the Panthers, offensively, he did everything he could for the Panthers to win that game, and because of a shitty call, they didn't. It's that simple. I'm excited for next week to see if the Panthers figure out defensively and keep this offensive and make the offense just a tad bit better. And I think we'll if they figure out the defense and they figure out the sprinkle a little spice in the offense, we'll be great. I don't think we're that far off. Not gonna lie to you. Now moving on to the 4:00 games, we had a game that I was surprised at. The Chiefs and the Cardinals, and the Chiefs curb stomping the Cardinals pretty much. Mahomes popped the fuck off with 360 yards and 5 touchdowns. Hilaire popped the fuck off with 2 receiving touchdowns. Kelsey popped the fuck off with 121 yards and a touchdown. Juju did pretty decent. He fumbled the ball a lot, though. He has a knack of doing that. The defense was keeping Kyler in check. Chiefs might be more deadly without Tyreek Hill. This continues. Kyler throwing for 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's not bad. But that offense looked bad. They had nothing going. And that's because a lot of their receivers aren't available. D-Hop, Rondell Moore, one's suspended and one's hurt. Greg Dortch had the most receiving yards, and Marquise Brown and Zach Ertz had the touchdowns. And the Cardinals defense isn't good enough to carry an offense like that all year. So yeah, I'll take back what I said about the Cardinals being good in my one video. I'm worried about the Cardinals. Next game, we had the Chargers and the Raiders. Didn't really get to watch this game at all. Had to go somewhere. I didn't get to catch it. Very sad about that because I got a lot of interest in this game. But Derek Carr, throwing 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's not what I want out of Derek. It's not what I want out of my boy Sid. Doing shit like that and expect to win, especially in this division. Jacobs didn't have an amazing game. Adams making his presence known in his first game with the Raiders. And, I think the Raiders will still be a deadly team. I have full faith that next week they'll be perfectly good. They'll be gold. But speaking of gold, let's talk about the golden boy Justin Herbert. 279, 3 touchdowns. Justin Herbert is a dog. Simple as that. He popped the fuck off. Yeah, it was a semi-close game, but, the Chargers just look good. Like, from what I saw, the Chargers just look good. Personally, super excited to keep watching this team. I'm like giddy for Thursday to watch them, Next was this game that I was excited. I fucking couldn't watch this game either, sadly, but Rodgers didn't throw a touchdown pass. The man was too stunned to speak. 195 and an interception. What is going on in Green Bay? Kind of kidding, but not really at all. What is happening in Green Bay? You have Aaron Jones, who had 49 yards. A.J. Dillon, who had 45 yards and a touchdown. And A.J. Dillon was your leading receiver. Week 1, Sammy Watkins was avoided. Aaron Rodgers fumbled the ball. Are the Vikings this good, or the Packers on the decline? And that's something that, time will tell. I am not going to write off Aaron Rodgers after 1 week with a new team. But I will heavily laugh and enjoy the fact that the Vikings kicked his goddamn ass. Vikings winning 23-7, by the way. Kirk Cousins is elite. I'm kidding. 277 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, what is there to say about this guy? And by this guy, I mean Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's the guy, And like I said, was this game a matter of the defense made Rodgers look lost, or was it Rodgers just didn't have the weapons necessary to beat the Vikings? And that question will be answered next week. And I'm gonna write a note for myself, and we'll have the answer. Primetime game. TB12 is back, and he beat the fucking Cowboys 19-3. If you ain't a Cowboys fan, it's always fuck the Cowboys. Some Cowboys fans, it might still be fuck the Cowboys. Brady played great. Brady's back at 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Those are, it's not the most outstanding stat line you'll ever see, but it's a good one. Especially with the help of Leonard Fournette with 127 yards. The amazing grab by Mike Evans. And, Julio Jones actually showing up for once with 69 yards. Nice. Defense played good. Defense played good for, obviously, holding the Dallas offense to 3 points. Sadly, the Cowboys will be losing Prescott for a while with an injury. Hope he recovers soon, even though it is always fuck the Cowboys. You don't want to see a player get injured. And Dak's stat line isn't phenomenal, but it's going to be hard to judge the Cowboys this year, especially with Dak being injured for as long as he will be. Zeke, still ass, I guess. Zeke is still completely terrible at running. I'm still a little bit out on the Bucs to see, if Brady is fully back or if it's, if it's just we'll see, right? Obviously, it's Brady. He's going to be back, but he'll still be good. But I'm excited. I'm curious about this Bucs team. For some reason, I have this suspicion that something's gonna go weird. So we'll see, right? We'll see. But the last game of the night wrapped up not even an hour ago. I started recording the second the game ended. Probably one of the things I put in the thumbnail or the title, one of the two. The Seahawks upset the Broncos, 17-16. It was a nail biter in Seattle. It was a good-ass game. 195 yards from Geno Smith, 2 touchdowns. Dude looked like an actual franchise quarterback tonight. He had something to prove. I was impressed as hell with the Seahawks defense and Geno Smith. We'll touch on the Broncos themselves in a second, but I was really impressed with Geno Smith. He looked real calm. He looked great. I think this Seahawks team, that's a quick flash, and then they'll be to the bottom of the league. But still, phenomenal game. Great game from Seattle. I cannot say the same about the Denver Broncos. Now, statistically, you look at this, 340 yards, 1 touchdown. Yeah, that's fine and all, but Russell Wilson looked lost. Gordon and Javonte Williams have, each losing a fumble on the goal line, fucked their team over greatly, because those would have been at least 3 points or more, I can't remember. The game's foggy. I've been recording for 53 minutes already. Judy wanted to show up, 102 yards, 1 touchdown. Russell Wilson looked like he wasn't ready. I don't think he thought Seattle would boo him that much and hate him that much, but they did. And I think he let his emotions get to him. He physically was great. I don't think mentally he was there enough to win. And, last second missed field goal by McManus. It was a long field goal. But it was a 64-yard field goal. Yeah, I'm not expecting him to hit that, but it was a bad game. I don't think Denver did not look all there. Something looked off with Denver and Russell Wilson, and Seattle looked like they played their absolute best. And how do I want to put this? I think this will be the peak for Seattle this year, and this will be the valley for the Broncos. But I don't think I sure hope this is not how the Broncos are going to play all year. I really hope it's not. I want to see Russell Wilson do good in Denver. If he plays like that, he really won't be. But if he plays like this all year, I can't defend the Broncos playing like the way they did tonight. But again, don't want to take anything. Yes, the Broncos played bad, and the 12th man really was a factor in this game. Shout out all of those people in Seattle, because they were a big factor in this game. And again, don't want to take anything away from Geno Smith. But yes, that's all the games from week 1. We are 1 week through football. If you want to know my opinion on the Thursday night opener, there's a separate video for that. At the end of all these videos, I will put up a power ranking and I will update it with each week. If you disagree with it, that's cool. That's why there's comments. More than happy to talk with people about their opinion of football, and that's why this channel's here. I want to hear differing opinions from people. I'm gonna put that up. I'll see you guys in a week when we'll be back doing the same thing. I've been Dom. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.